In a busy city, on the corner of a bustling street, sat a young blind boy. His name was Alex, and he had been blind since birth. He sat cross-legged on the pavement, his clothes a bit worn, his shoes scuffed from days of walking the same streets. A small, cardboard sign lay beside him, propped up against the tin cup. The sign, written in neat handwriting, read, "I am blind, please help." Despite the crowded streets, most people simply walked past him, going about their business. Some glanced at him with a brief moment of pity, others didn't even spare him a second look. A few dropped coins into his cup, but it was never enough to make a difference. Alex didn't mind though, he was used to the indifference. The world seemed to turn a blind eye to him, just as he had never been able to see it. As time passed, the boy's hope began to fade. The sun was high in the sky, and the street grew even busier, but his cup remained mostly empty. Just then, a man walked by, a man in his mid-40s with a gentle face, dressed in a slightly worn but elegant suit. He stopped in front of Alex, looked at him for a moment, and then dropped a single coin into his cup. Alex could feel the weight of the coin, but he didn't speak. The man stood there for a moment longer, then glanced at the sign. His eyes softened, and he asked in a calm voice, "Can I borrow your sign for a moment?" Alex, though surprised, nodded. He had been ignored so many times that he didn't think twice about the man's request. The man bent down and took the sign from its place, carefully flipping it over. From his satchel, he pulled out a marker, the tip clicking gently as he began to write on the back of the cardboard. He worked in silence, his eyes focused on the sign, and then after a few moments, he put the sign back in place where it had originally been. With a smile, the man turned to Alex and said, "There you go. That's better now. I hope it helps." Alex had no idea what the man had written, but he thanked him politely, his voice full of gratitude. The man smiled back, nodded, and walked away down the street. As the hours passed, something strange began to happen. More and more people were stopping in front of Alex. They were reading the sign, and instead of simply walking by, they were reaching into their pockets and pulling out coins to place in his cup. The tin cup was soon filling up, and Alex was astounded. He could feel the weight of the coins piling higher and higher. He had never experienced anything like this before. Just this morning, no one had even noticed him, but now it seemed like everyone was taking notice. Even the people who had passed him by earlier in the day were now stopping, smiling, and contributing. Curious and overwhelmed, Alex sat there, wondering what had changed. He had heard the sound of people's footsteps slow down, and he felt their eyes on him more often. He had no idea what had happened, but he could feel the kindness in the air. It was as if something had shifted around him. Eventually, as the sun began to set, the man who had changed the sign came back. Alex recognized him immediately and asked, "Excuse me, sir. What did you do?" "My cup is full. People are helping me in a way I've never experienced before." "What did you write on my sign?" The man smiled warmly, his eyes twinkling with kindness. He knelt down beside Alex and said, "I simply wrote the same message, but I wrote it in a different way." The man reached for the sign, and Alex felt it shift in the breeze. The new message read, "It's a beautiful day, and I cannot see it." Alex sat in stunned silence. He could feel the words on the sign, each letter pressing against his fingertips, but the message itself was so much more than just words. It was a plea for understanding. It was a statement that made people stop and reflect on what they had. It made them think of the beauty around them that they often took for granted. It wasn't just that Alex was blind, it was that he could no longer experience the simple joys of life that most people enjoyed. The beauty of a sunset, the colors of flowers, the faces of loved ones, all of it was lost to him. But the way the message was framed made people look beyond their own busy lives and realize how fortunate they were. It wasn't pity that Alex wanted, it was recognition, empathy, and an understanding that the world, in all its beauty, was something he would never be able to fully experience. The story of Alex and the kind stranger is a powerful reminder that perspective matters. The way we present things, whether in our words or actions, can have a profound impact on how others perceive the world around them. Alex's story is not just about a blind boy asking for help, it's about a message that makes people pause, reflect, and appreciate the gifts they have in their lives. It reminds us that a small shift in perspective can open hearts and change lives. Sometimes, the most impactful change doesn't come from what we say, it comes from how we say it. A slight difference in approach can change indifference into compassion and can turn a simple moment into something unforgettable.